I mean, these guys were really bad. It was just an easy fight.
Yeah. Sometimes this is what happens. Like, go just outskill them. Like, let me put it this way. Like, think about it, the perspective of the other guys as well, right? They're probably wondering like, oh, what did I do wrong? Like, in the end of the day, sometimes individual skills just like helps a lot. Like, it's a big deal. You know what I mean? Like, so if they're just that bad, it's not a strategy that's messing them up. They just need to get better at fighting.
Yeah.
They're just bad. Like, you know what I mean?
In your eyes, how do you get better as fighting as a duo?
Get better individually. People think it's like a duo thing. I don't think so. I think it's actually just you two individually need to get better. Play solo arena, play solo wagers, play like those sort of things. Go solo scrim and key people. Like, I actually don't think you play duos. Like, you don't play duo arena. I don't think that's what you should do, and I'll tell you why. Like, you need to just think of it as 2 1v1s, and then with the occasional help each other, and just like win your one. That's usually how simple pros keep it. Like, they don't try to overcomplicate it.
Yeah.
And also, I think yeah,
these
like,
guys were camping.
Go back to Frosty real quick, if I make a comment. Like, go back and watch how he died. Like, this is what I mean by individual. Like, I really think it's super important.
No, I kind of moved because Shay said he needed help, and then I came, and this kid was above, and I kind of just like threw.
Yes. But that's what I mean, right? Like, understanding, like, hey, like, I might need to take this floor back. Like, there's a gap here. This is important, right? Because, like, at the end of the day, that is the mistake, right? And I know Cherry needs help, but this is actually common in duos, actually. Where one person says they need help, and then it completely, and it's not the fault of the person saying they need help. It's just what do you call it? The other guy gets too hasty. They rush over. I do this all the time, actually, when I play competitive. Where like my teammate's like, "Fuck, I'm 1 HP. I need help." I like run over and I get one pumped because I wasn't careful like on my approach. I didn't take my time.
Yeah.
Like, it happens all the time, but it doesn't mean it's not a mistake. It's very important. Like, it doesn't mean that we shouldn't fix it. We should. That's why I say play individually, because sometimes too much team effort, too much like, why didn't you help me, is really bad. Like, the whole like mentality of pros saying like, when you're one, don't sell, like, stop dying, like they keep it simple. It's actually good. It's important, right? Like, you should actually, unironically, if 2 people are pushing you and your teammate's doing nothing, you should at least be able to survive for 30 seconds. And if you can't, you need to improve. Like, like, your teammate should be able to heal with like fucking med kits and minis and bigs, like really slow heals, and you should be able to hold your own 30 seconds against a 1v2. And if you can't, then it's your fault.
Yeah,
I really believe that. I think that's the level you should be at in fighting. And trust me, a lot of these fights will just go better if you're better individually. If you don't want to overcomplicate it, that is one way to do it better, right? Just play solo arena, watch your win rate in fights. Like, if you're losing, like, if you're not getting 20 kill wins every game, and trust me, it is possible. I have a literal student who does it on NAs. If you're not getting like 10 to 20 kill wins like every time, then and you're dying, then clearly something's wrong. Hey guys, I thought this topic was actually a really good topic to talk about, because I think it's something that happens very frequently for a lot of people, especially for you guys watching this video. I'm sure you guys can relate. Your teammate is 1 HP, he's getting 2v1'd, he's in a sort of peculiar situation, probably panicking and yelling in comms like, yo, help me, and then you, being the good teammate that you are rushing over extremely quickly to try to help your teammate, and in doing so are pretty careless about your approach, and then die in return because of the fact that you're so careless, and you don't even realize your teammate's not even getting pressured that hard. Maybe he's only getting sprayed by one person, and the other teammate's actually looking towards you because he knows that you're coming over to help, and he's probably gonna like find a free pump, for example. It's a perfect example. It's exactly what happened in the video, and I just want to talk about it a little bit further because I feel like a lot of people don't understand why this happens. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't help your teammates. Like, if your teammate is in trouble and you know he's getting pressured and he has 2 enemies on his wall, and you know exactly where those 2 enemies are and where their attention is focused, and it's on your teammate, I'm not saying don't help. Obviously, go help, right? It's very important that you do help, actually, so you can contribute to the fight and not just have your teammate get 2v1 for like a minute straight. Definitely help. Just be aware and careful as you approach it, because a lot of people die getting baited about this. I've seen Mr. Savage and Benji Fishy actually fall victim to this several times, where someone's in trouble, one of them, and the other guy's rushing over and like throwing themselves at the wall, like, to help their teammate. And it seems intuitive, like, oh my god, you should help your teammate, you should work together. But at the same time, it's often a trap where you get killed because you're not being careful about your approach to your teammate, and your teammate's actually not that much in danger, and maybe they're just low. Like, maybe they're just low, sitting in their box, they're like, I need help, but they're not actually getting pressured that hard, right? So be careful and make sure you're actually aware about your surroundings when you approach your teammate, and these problems won't happen. So I want to ask you a question. In any 2v2, how many players' positions should you be aware of? Should you be like aware of like their location? Like how many people should you be aware of? And a lot of people will answer that question, oh, just 2 people. You just need to know the enemy's location. But I think that's wrong. I think it's actually even more important that you know exactly where your teammate is. And I'm going to talk about this is like further detail, because this is exactly why it's important to understand all 3 people's location. Number 1, you should know where your teammate is, obviously, and it's actually really easy. You just need to look at the name tag on the screen, so then you know exactly where they are, how far they are, what layer they're on. So look at the teammate's name tag. You can see it through the wall. It's really nice. Now for enemies, this is a little bit more ambiguous. It's kind of hard to know enemies. You can hear the footsteps, but like ultimately you should be careful if you don't know where the enemies are. Like sometimes we don't have perfect awareness, right? We don't know exactly where the enemies are. We have an idea, but we don't know exactly the location that they're in. And so if we're rushing over to the teammate, especially without knowing exactly where the 2 enemies are, it's going to be troublesome, right? Maybe they have some edits on us that we don't even realize, and they're going to get a pump on us, and we're essentially throwing the fight when maybe our teammate's not even in that much of trouble. Maybe he's only getting sprayed by 1 person, right? So maybe we should be a little bit more careful in our approach. Maybe we should work on our awareness of all 3 players, our teammate and the 2 enemies, so that we can make more informed decisions on whether or not we should be rushing over or be a little bit more careful. Like there's no harm in rushing over if you know the other 2 enemies are really far. You know what I mean? At that point, just rush over and get next to your teammate and box up and play defense and heal up and reset the fight. But if you don't know where the enemies are, you should be a little bit more careful in your approach. So let's talk about a scenario, right? I'm gonna really talk about a scenario very similar. I kind of made this like mock scenario where let's assume this brick box is me. That brick box right there is a teammate of mine, and then the wood boxes over here are enemies, right? And I think this is a very common situation where you and your teammate are closer to one enemy and the other enemy is out of position. Like he's pretty far. They're split. So now that I know the location of all 3 players, right? My teammate, enemy number 1, and enemy number 2, I can come to a very informed decision here, and I know exactly what we need to be doing. I think it's really obvious. We need to 2v1 this guy as fast as possible. I should ideally make a cutoff so he can't get back to his teammate, right? Piece this and maybe cone it, maybe even box it if I want to go to the extreme, but essentially I need to control this square so they can't really get to each other, right? And my teammate should just aggro on this wall or this wall. It's pretty simple. I essentially get in like 2v1. The enemy's really split, right? And is actually not going to be able to help his teammate that much. If we can quick dead this person, the fight will be very easy, right? But notice something. The prerequisite to coming to that decision is very much knowing all 3 players' locations. Like even if I knew the enemy was here and enemy was here, and I didn't know where my teammate was, which is right beside me, maybe I was like unaware to that fact, and it's going to be really hard to come to that decision really reliably if I don't even know where my teammate is. So really make sure you understand where all 3 players are. Let me come up with a different scenario. This is very similar to what happened in the video. Let's say, again, wood is enemies, brick is us, okay? Let's say this is my teammate. This is a wood enemy, and I'm in this box, okay? But I don't know someone's up here. Like, I don't know any enemy number 2 here is up here. Let's forget the reason why. I feel like this is a little unrealistic because maybe I would realize this person is up here. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes like, oh my god, my teammate's 1 HP and this guy's full HP and he's rushing my teammate and I want to help. You start running out. You don't know that there's enemy up here. Maybe they edit on me, right? Maybe they double edit on me just like this and then they pump me, and it's really, really tough, right? Because now we have 2 losing HP targets versus 2 full HP enemies, and clearly we're going to lose this fight. At this point, it's like a roller coaster of like panic. Like it's going to be really tough at this point. So really make sure, if you don't know where all 3 players are, take your time. Like be a little bit more careful. Now notice something. Careful is not the opposite of being fast. You could be fast and careful at the exact same time. Careful just means you're sort of doing all the checks, right? So if I'm in a brick box, right, and I'm editing out and someone owns the floors above me, I'm gonna check as I sprint out. And if I notice that there's floors above me that are not mine, I'm just gonna do this and I'm good. You know what I mean? Like I can cover myself and I should be fine. But if you don't know this, then that's where you get exploited and you get pumped, and then the fight's over at that point. So really make sure you're doing the checks, you're being careful. If you really don't know where enemies are, slow down if you need to, or just do it at the same speed and just be more careful, be more aware, and focus on really trying to understand where all 3 players are, because you can make really good informed decisions when you do know where all 3 players are, and try not to rush to conclusions or like rush to your teammate willy-nilly without actually caring about your own life. Because sometimes your teammate's just panicking because, again, only like one person spraying them, or they're just low. Maybe no one's pressuring them. Maybe both enemies are like turned to focus on you because they know that you're gonna come over to rush your teammate. And it's a really free kill at some points. Like I really think that you should be a little bit more careful and not so hasty to rush to your teammate willy-nilly. It's a mistake that I've made personally, and I think you guys can learn from it as well. Thank you guys for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. I hope you guys learned something new, and I'll see you guys next time.